Welcome back. Now, inferior goods from China don't just end up in Nigeria by accident. Nigerian entrepreneurs are said to request for low-quality materials in order to cut costs. Well, this is one of the revelations at a roundtable on Nigeria-China relations held here in Lagos. Both countries have agreed to work together to do something about the influx of inferior goods.
This is a roundtable meeting to work out ways to enhance trade relations between Nigeria and China and improve the business environment in both countries. It was organized by the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIA, and China Institute of Contemporary International Relations, KACAI. The Director General of the NIA explains the importance of this gathering.
We sat down as a research institute to find out what is responsible for the progress of others and what is responsible for our own setback. Our finding is that those who are developing generally, they make a very good use of their research institutions the world over.
And for the leader of the Chinese delegation, China and Nigeria share similar challenges which can be resolved through a solid partnership.
As far as Chinese relations with Africa is concerned, we think, we are natural partners, not just in economic terms, but in terms of politics, strategy, global governance, everything, China and Africa has been natural partners.
Nevertheless, a thumbs up was given to the Nigerian and Chinese authorities for their efforts to nurture the diplomatic relations.
It is a country that has tremendous resources in human and material. Our country is a country that appreciates friends when you stand by us in our time of need.
After all said and done, integrity and good business ethics were the watchwords etched into the minds of all participants, part of an agreement that relations between Nigeria and China must be beneficial to all concerned. Temitope Fagbemi, reporting for Channels Television News.
Unveiling the new look of Guinness. Discover a colorful world of more.
Indeed, it's time for sports news. Here's Charles Aruka. Charles.
Well, thank you, Ijoma. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's under-20 women's football team, the Falconets, are ready for Saturday's FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifying match against Tunisia. Now, to get to this stage, the Falconets defeated Sierra Leone in a convincing 16-0 aggregate win, while Tunisia progressed, beating Morocco 8-1 on aggregate. The Falconets were runners-up at the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Germany in 2010, reached the semi-finals in Japan last year, and are favorites to qualify for the 7th edition taking place in Canada in August 2014. The match is a second-round first-leg tie and will kick off by 4 p.m. on Saturday at the Abuja National Stadium. Another expression of soccer, the Super Sand Eagles will tomorrow begin the defense of their title in this year's Copa Lagos Beach Soccer Championship when they take on Germany's Mannschaft in their opening duel at the Eco Atlantic City. This will be the first time that Germany will take part in the Copa Lagos, and the Germans are expected to provide a combination of power and flair. Nigeria's Super Sand Eagles and Germany's Mannschaft have never met as far as beach soccer is concerned, but the head coach of the Nigerian team, Audu Adamu, is confident the Germans will fall. The Super Sand Eagles have won the first 2 editions of the Copa Lagos. Another international, the Qatar 2022 Supreme Committee Secretary General Hassan Al-Tawandi says he was in no doubt the country will be ready to stage the FIFA World Cup whether it's played in the Gulf, summer or winter. FIFA's ethics prosecutor Michael Garcia is currently head of an investigation into the bidding process for the 2018 World Cup in Russia as well as the 2022 event in Qatar. but Al-Tawadi said he and his team were confident that they had complied with the rules and that they were the best bid anyway. Here in Nigeria, Niger State has confirmed its rating as the #1 handball playing team at the ongoing National Youth Games taking place in Abuja. Niger State defeated Sokoto State 26 to 15 points to win the men's event at the tournament. Rivers State defeated Abia in the third place game 18 to 15. In the women's category, Imo State outclassed Benue State 14 to 10 points to win the competition, while Bayelsa edged FCT 15 to 8 in the third place match decided earlier. Plateau State kid sensation Lizzie Pam emerged champion of the women's tennis singles. The 15-year-old student of Culford Secondary School, England, beat her opponent Sarah Adegoke of Oyo State in 2 straight sets of 6-2, 7-5 in the final. Meanwhile, Cross River State athletes were exceptional as 3 of their boxers dominated in 3 categories of the final results of the boxing event released at the ongoing National Youth Games. The trio of David, Ekire Paul and Asa Etam punched their ways to victory in the final bouts. David had it rough with Lawson Sakiruddin of Osun State, but secured a 2-1 split decision to win in the 51-kilogram category. Paul Ekire humbled his opponent Wasiu Aderemi of Kwara in a unanimous decision in the 54 kg, while Asa Etam won through a technical knockout against Caroline Maxwell of Delta in the female 57-kilogram category to make it 3 wins in 3 boxing finals for Cross River. Well, that's it on Sports News. It's back to Ijoma with the rest of the news at 10.
Unveiling the new look of Guinness. Discover a colorful world of more.
To the foreign scene now, the South African government has announced it will be investigating the interpreter who is working with those with hearing disabilities at the Nelson Mandela Memorial held on Wednesday. Here's Cynthia Are with more.
He goes by the name Thamsanqa Dianti. He stood alongside national and international leaders at the event and has blamed his action on a schizophrenic episode. He said he had become violent during such episodes in the past. This comes as thousands lined the streets to bid farewell to the man fondly known by South Africans as Madiba. It's been exactly 1 week since the passing of the legend and the anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela, who died at the age of 95. His body will lie in state for 1 more day, after which he will be given a state funeral on Sunday, December the 15th. In Kenya, they are in a celebration mood instead. The country is celebrating 50 years of independence from Britain. The East African country became independent on December the 12th, 1963, and became a republic a year later with Jomo Kenyatta. Also today, it's a pretty unfortunate situation for the Islamist leader Abdul Kader Mullah. He's officially been hanged. The judge dismissed his appeal, saying it paves the way for his execution. Plus, weeks of protests, specifically in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, have prompted a response from the Ukrainian president, Viktor Yanukovych, who intends to sign a deal on closer EU ties after all. Finally, here's some news from Thailand, and no, it's not particularly about protests this time around. Former Thai Prime Minister Abhisit Wichachiwa has been formally charged with murder in connection with the crackdown on demonstrators back in 2010. And that's it from me. Those are the top stories on the foreign scene.
Thanks a lot, Cynthia. And the main news again. 25 Rivers lawmakers have clashed with the police as they attempted to resume plenary at the House of the Assembly. International rights group Human Rights Watch has alleged non-prosecution of perpetrators of violence in Kaduna and Plateau states, says this is fueling violence in the states. And Bangladesh has executed the Islamist leader Abdul Kader Mullah, convicted of atrocities in 1971 War of Independence. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Do have a great night.
is Focus on Africa from the BBC. I'm Sophie Ikenye. Our top stories. Marking 50 years of Kenyan independence as thousands gather to celebrate in Nairobi, the president warns there's still work to be done.
While we have made significant strides as a nation, let us also face the reality. We have yet to reach the promised land.
The man accused of faking sign language at the memorial service for Nelson Mandela says he was suffering a schizophrenic attack and hallucinating.
I've been interpreting through these years, through the media, through the office, through the media briefings. I've never done received any complaint.
Also on this program, it's happy birthday for an African music legend. Cameroonian jazz saxophonist Manu Dibango turns 80 today and shares some of his most memorable moments with me.
Dorothy, Sophie, Dorothy, Sophie, Dorothy, Sophie, thank you.
And in sport, the FIFA Club World Cup kicks off in Morocco with a big boost for the host nation. Well, hello and welcome to Focus on Africa from BBC World News. I'm Sophie Ikenye. Exactly 50 years ago today, Kenya gained freedom from British colonial rule. At the stroke of midnight last night, the Kenyan flag was hoisted at exactly the same place in Nairobi, Uhuru Gardens, just as it was 50 years ago. On that day, President Uhuru Kenyatta's father, Jomo Kenyatta, became the country's first leader. Well, Focus on Africa's Anne Soy was at the